Welcome back to Unranked Podcast here. You have Elijah alongside Grant. We're going to get into another episode, just Michigan basketball recap here. We had a hard fought overtime loss versus Iowa. That was what we were, the game we were pre gaming, I guess, last episode. Tough overtime loss there. Immaculate game from Jet. He came out on fire. I think he had like five or six threes in the first half. Kind of hit the wall a little bit. Come second half, sputtered out personally. A couple of other players came up big during those times. Doug being one of them. But kind of want to throw it over to you. That would have been definitely kind of looking at the lay of the land as far as the schedule goes. That would have been one that you would have loved to grab. Would have separated us in the pack a little more as far as the Big Ten goes, kept us in the upper echelon of
The top tier.
the top three of like the 5-2 team versus the 4-2. But needless to say, looking at the lay of the land here, we probably needed that one, and we need all of them. It's going to be
Yeah,
I think we
you
said
know that was
14 games left. So
right. Yeah, that one was tough just because like you had like a 7 point lead with 2 minutes left. I mean, you got like just watching, not trying to be hard on him or anything, just watching Kobe Buffkin. I mean, he was just like really kind of a key part in there, like comeback there. He fouled the guy on a 4 point play, shooting a three. Um, got called for I don't think it was a foul, but he kind of was like under the player. He got the ball, threw it back up. Yeah, gave up a jumper on the like on the baseline, like the next time down. The guy that he was going up against, great player. I mean, he's kind of getting the best of him. But yeah, I mean, you like the fight. I mean, I still, kind of still looking at these. We talked about it last week, the minutes, the box score. I mean, Doug played 43, Jet played 40, Dickinson played 39. They did go to overtime too. So I mean, Doug played 42 out of possible 45 minutes, or 43 out of the possible 45 minutes of that game. I just don't know how much longer we can sustain that. I do like that. You see the bench is. I feel like they are getting a little bit more activity that game. They played well. I mean, I feel like Jet was able to, obviously put the team on his back. I think the only thing I'd like to see more from is Hunter. I feel like he's kind of been the last couple of games just in that like 10 to 12 range. Double-digit rebounds, which is nice, but um, that was a tough one to lose just because they controlled the game for the majority of the time.
yeah, like you said, control the game majority of the time. I kind of felt like we had the momentum. You watch. I mean, I guess that's controlling the game, but you watch, listen to what the announcers are saying. They kind of had us. They kind of keyed in exactly what happened. That wasn't exactly our type of game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we were still saying last time that we were still fighting for an identity, trying to figure out which way we can win, which way we can compete with the big dogs on the road, whatever that case is. And I think you see various products come out there. You see that team come out there firing all cylinders, moving the ball around,
Mm-hmm.
hitting threes, look great. And then you see another just slouchy game where we can't move the ball. Probably hit south of five or six threes in a game. You're not going to win very many games in college basketball this time around if you're just clanking threes off the side of the backboard. Obviously we don't have to be back to the beeline days where we're trying to get up 30 a game, but I think somewhere in that sweet spot where you're hitting them, and I think you look at the next game versus Northwestern. We got down 10 threes, hit around, I think it was like mid 40s, like I think it was like 10 of 22. And
Yeah.
that's something where I think is pretty sustainable. Obviously, Jet going for 35 every night is not sustainable, but as a unit, as a team, getting somewhere around that 10 to 12 threes a game, I think is a sweet spot with everything else. With
Mm-hmm.
expecting that Dickinson's gonna get you somewhere around 18 and 10. I think that's kind of a good sweet spot. But like you said, it's these games, the Big Ten games, there are now are the time to kind of gobble up these wins because so many teams are kind of sputtering around in a similar ballpark to us. So I think it's kind of just gobble up as many wins as you can, and then it's one of those what one of those things where it's just whoever's resources can with last day, to the end of the season. And
Mm-hmm.
next thing you know, we look up and somehow we snuck up 19 wins. And I'm hoping that's kind of how that season looks up. But 14 games to go. Still some very tough ones up there. On there we got
Yeah.
State again, you got Purdue. I think we finished three of the last four on the road. So you're going to want to have a lot of those banked, a lot of those wins banked heading into that. You don't want to have to finish, you know, five, 3 or 5 or something, and you got to go on the road a lot. So I don't know. I'm looking at the lay of land here, and with the emergence of some of these younger players, I think it's a time that we can go on a run. But you got to do that sooner rather than later.
Right. Yeah, no, I you hit it on the head. I think the thing that even kind of can concern me a little bit with this schedule is like you look at a lot of these games. Some of these games are people you already beat, so now you got to go like you got to either one try to beat them again, and how tough is it? I mean, we see how this team is pretty inconsistent this year already so far, and just given that that factor of trying to beat another team again, like trying to go to Maryland after we embarrassed them on our court. Now you got to try to beat them on their court. They're going to be up for that game and just really motivated. Beat Minnesota at home. Are they going to try to return the favor? When they come to see us, and you got the number 3 team in the country just sitting there waiting for you a few days later. I mean, I think they just really gotta try to lock in and see what they can do to, I mean, I told you before you hopped on, try to get 4 out of 5, 5 out of the next 7, just kind of give themselves some distance. So right now, like the guy, he had 10 wins, 7 losses, they're just kind of hovering around that 500 mark. You just don't want to, you want to try to distance yourself, obviously, from being around 500 as you can. But I like that they got the victory today. They still got, still just looking at some of these minutes on the bench and just how it's kind of worked out between the starters and such. I just don't love that, but that's just kind of looking like what it is from here on out. So just try and do whatever they can to have the best players on the court to try to win as many games as possible.
No, I'm going to second. I like what you second a lot of what you said here, and just looking, like you said, we already beat up Maryland before, but then now you go on the road. If you can get that one though, you get Minnesota back at home, and then Purdue at home. You do not want to go on that road, lose to Maryland, come back 10-8 with one more game before you're looking at one of the best teams in the entire country. That's how you quickly end up 10-9 with 2 or 3 road games heading up after that. I think that is the worst little game stretch that can happen to us there. I think you have to start with the win versus Maryland on the road, come back, play strong, put up your best fight versus Purdue. Obviously, hopefully you get a win, but if not, you have 2 more Big Ten wins banked before that. And then I think with that little stretch there before you hit the road for a couple of weeks, I think is kind of a critical point there. And I I don't want to, like you said, be too hard on them though. I think very young team, and I think if Jet can keep finding his own groove and taking over like he has been, and I think watching the games, I've noticed where early in the season he it's a thing where I think he was trying not to try too hard, and then other games he was overly exerting himself. I think where now that last game, although it was a loss, but on the road, his game looked very fluid. He wasn't forcing it. He was taking shots within the flow of the offense. He was, pressing the issue when needed. He was stepping back when needed. I just thought that was a very, very good, calm, cool, collective game for a freshman player. And if him and Dickinson can get it flowing at the same time, I mean that's going to be a nasty little duo there. And and obviously Doug, I think I think he was the guy that took the shot for us headed into overtime or whatever. It's one of those things where I genuinely did think he was going to hit it. That's one of those type of players where I thought he was, I did not doubt himself. Being a freshman, not being a starter the whole season, with the game he has had and the flashes he's had, I thought he was going to hit that. So I think over time, he's been through the fire a little bit, and he will begin to hit those shots, and that's the type of good minutes you want from a young player that will pay dividends later on in the season when you're trying to get a scrappy Big Ten win in the Big Ten tournament, or when whatever that case may be. But I'm not ready to put the fork in the team now, but I think they you got to put up here. I think like you said, you got to separate yourself from that pack. You can't keep spinning too much around 500 here, because that's not
do yourself some favors.
You got to do yourself some favors, and knock on wood, you're hanging around 500 too much. Somebody goes down for a couple of weeks, that's the season.
Yeah.
Try to give yourself a buffer for whatever can happen. And yeah, but no, I
Yeah.
agree.
And I think, I mean, I'm like very optimistic still, just because you look at like all the games they play. I don't think they've been blown
Tough
out at
losses.
all. I don't
Yeah,
think they've lost. I don't think they've lost any games by more than,
like Arizona State's probably the worst loss I can think of.
yeah. And that was, like second week of the season, literally. So I feel like they, they're competing. I do feel like the effort, defensive side of the ball has been better. Um, you know, I, some fouling here and there, I think is just unwarranted. Also, not getting the best help from the refs either. In both these games, in my opinion, but I do feel like they're competing, and you like to see, like I said, the guy, Doug, he's going there. He had 17, like 4 and 5 today. That's nice, nice stat line. Just for a freshman, he's learning on the fly. He's picking it up, showing that he belongs. I like how Buffkin's coming along. He's looking like he's good for about 10 to 13, 10 to 15 a game. Jed's doing what
He
he
was like
does.
he was hot today too. He was like 9 and 12 or something. You know what I mean? So very
Yeah,
efficient. Yeah. I mean, I think all recipe for success. You know.
right. Yeah, but yeah, I think I don't know. I think he still, I know he's like top dog now and probably getting a lot of attention. But Hut Dickinson, I just hope we just need to run a little more for him, just find a way to get him the ball more. I think try to like go through him a little more. I mean, I think he really just has to kind of be an anchor. We got the win today with him being like 13 and 12, but I just as we go on the road and stuff, it just gets a little more difficult to win those type of games. I hope that he can start to assert himself and, like you said earlier too, like him and Jet, kind of continue to be that 1-2 punch. But I just would like to see potentially, hopefully more from him going down this stretch here as well.
No, I agree. And just I want to take a moment just to look at the schedule here.
Yeah.
I think you said we got Maryland earlier in the year. So I
Mm-hmm.
think 14 games left here. Currently sitting at 10-7. I think obviously all these are Big Ten games here. Regardless of how you finish, you'll have a opportunity or two to prove yourself in the Big Ten tournament. But I think you want to hover around, obviously, as close to them 20 wins as possible. And I think that means you
Yep.
got to finish here. Um, 14 games. 9-5. I think that is very doable. Like you
Yep.
said, stop making them dumb mistakes. Finish the game strong. If you can finish 9-5, you're sitting there at 19-12. Hopefully, of them 9 wins, you got a couple ranked teams in there, and then you get a Big Ten tournament win or two. That's 20 wins. You're back at in the tournament. I think that's obviously the how I look at it. If I had to kind of look at what we would need to get in, I think I think maybe we can get in with a little less than that, but I think given how
Mm-hmm.
we've lost, probably has one of the worst losses in the Big Ten. Seeing how we have so many tough losses versus opponents that we,
But
yeah, yeah, that we should have in that, at least one of them checked off in that, key wins or quadrant 2 or 3 victories. I don't know how many of them we have quite yet. And I
yeah,
think as the Big Ten unfolds, we'll see that maybe some of these, maybe that Maryland blowout win will come out good. I think we don't know who people are yet. That's why
right.
we, like I said, continue to gobble up these victories.
Yeah.
We don't know who we are yet, but I know if we can keep, as bad as it looks, keep spinning around and hang around top 4 or 5 in the Big Ten, that's a tournament team. That's
Yeah.
it.
No, you hit it right on the head there. I mean, I feel like they just got to continue to, take this win and just try to string a couple more together. We got an opportunity to steal one from Maryland, sweep them for the season. This is like we need a game from Dickinson. He going back home, got this beef with Maryland. How they didn't recruit him. Like this is one of them games where I hope that he's able to, really just assert himself and make that just an easy victory for us. So we can just go back home. You got a couple games back to back. The next thing you know, you look up, you got a 3-game winning streak. Going to play Penn State. Trying to sweep them at their own house. So yeah, I mean, I foresee. I confidently see it unfolding that way, and I feel like I've liked the pieces and how they're coming together. Hopefully we can find a little bit more consistency from the bench just to help from a stamina standpoint as we get into January, February. But I do think we can turn this around before it's too late.
I'm right there with you. And, Juwan, I trust. I think
Yep.
He's done this right before. He's we've been in a similar predicament in past seasons where we mid January, early February, we were all kind of sitting back looking kind of side eyed, and come we're all celebrating come late March, come mid March, we're on a hell of a tournament run. So I think we do have similar qualities to those teams, but I think we obviously you have to begin to really hone that in now because this season could slip away from you quicker than you realize. But
Right.
Juwan Howard, I do trust. Jett Howard, Dixon, McDaniel. I think we got some pieces. We
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, and they're like I said, they're in every game. I mean, that gives me confidence right
right.
there. The ball bounce a couple different ways. People learn from mistakes. You know, Kofi not gonna make those fouls that he made in that Iowa game anymore the rest of the season. Like he saw that on film, like that, like stuff like that. Like, that'll literally help. A couple different possessions go our way, and yeah, I'm looking forward to just seeing how they respond this week. After a good victory against Northwestern today.
No, sure. You want to dive anything else?
That's all I got now. Right, I know we were going to talk about yeah, looking to just chat a little bit more about the Pistons coming this week, but I think that's good for today.
Sure. Good deal. We'll be right at you. Coming up this week with a little bit of Pistons talk. I think we know the state of what's happening there, but
Yeah, just check in with them, see what's
we'll check in. I'll no for sure. We
Yeah.
enjoy some good NFL football this week, and we'll be back at you then.
Yep. Sounds good.